thank you all, our local businesses, for coming out this morning. You braved the weather, and you are here, so we're going to make sure that you get the most out of this morning. Before we start the official program, we are lucky enough to have our mayor, the city of Evanston, here to greet you and to properly welcome you. What she's done, we'll come back, talk a little bit about the morning, acknowledge some of the staff, and again, thank you. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Peter, and welcome, everyone. I don't know why no one is allowed to feel welcome until the mayor comes and says it. We're officially allowed to feel welcome. This event is important to me. I think that the Grimshore development, the affordable housing that we've built, has proven that Evanston-based businesses, minorities, and women can do a terrific job. All you have to do is look at some of those homes, and then you'll know that the workers in this community are absolutely fabulous. It is not always easy for those fabulous workers to meet the requirements and understand them of Northwestern and District 202 and the hospital and everybody else who's here. Who did I miss? Rotary. But I hope this event will help, and I believe it has in the past, and if anything goes wrong, it's Peter's show, so please blame Peter. Anything that goes right, on the other hand, I appointed Peter, so take it away, Peter.
All right, let's hope that everything goes right this morning. Just really quick, there were a lot of hands who were involved in making today possible, so I want to quickly acknowledge some key folks who, if it was without their input and feedback, we wouldn't be here this morning. So first I want to thank the wonderful volunteers. I think there are a few members of our MWEBE committee. Ms. Donna Sue, thank you. Carl Bova is also here. He sits on our committee. All right, as well, thank you very much to our presenters. We have representatives from Northwestern, as the mayor indicated. 202 should be here. All right. District 65, Rotary International, as well as Grimshore, and then our City of Evanston staff. All right. Thank you very much. And then, of course, there's our incredible staff who, without them, we would not be able to run the city. And I just, again, want to acknowledge Mr. Godwin Chen, thank you very much for your assistance this morning. Ms. Dolores Cortez, Ms. Michelle Smith, Greg Gertis, Ashley Porta, Mr. Marty Lyons, Joe McRae, and always our city manager, Wally Bob Coates. And especially to our local businesses, as the mayor indicates. I think this is the worst economy that we've seen since First Depression, and we're slowly moving out of it. And just as we are challenged nationally with how do we spend locally, how do we empower our local economy, we take on that same challenge here in Evanston. And it's my firm belief that it's really the small businesses, that are going to move that employment needle that will make a difference in the city of Evanston. And so it was with that energy that we created this event. And again, I'm thankful that you're all able to participate. So I encourage you to ask the important questions, network amongst yourselves, and more importantly, we hope that you form relationships that will increase your businesses, increase your revenues, and increase your ability to employ local residents. So with that being said, I want to keep this morning moving. And our first presenter is from Northwestern, Mr. Jim Conrad. He's Director of Purchasing and Resource Services, and I'll ask you to come to the podium and please introduce your team.
Thank you. And I appreciate being here. Thank you for inviting me, City of Evanston. As Alderman Braithwaite said, my name is Jim Conrad, and I'm the Director of Purchasing at Northwestern University. As you all probably know, Northwestern is a large and it's a pretty complex organization. We have 11 schools, you see that a little bit too. How do I get involved? So I'm hoping today you can take away a little bit more information on how to get involved. I think it is important to know, one other thing is, I'm going to provide hopefully a good overview on what we do, how we do it, and how to get involved. I did ask some more subject matter experts to come with me. There was 3 or 4 service categories that were a point of emphasis today. And so Betty Bruger is here from our central, we call it NUIT, right? Catch a little. But Betty's here representing NUIT. And then Charles Davidson is from Facilities Management. And then Tom Leskoviak is from University Services. And he's involved in the motor pool, mail services, and some printing and some things like that. So I'm going to try to provide some overview for those things. But then they're all going to say a few words about each of those service categories. So, I do it, right? I think it's important to know, I think there's lots of opportunity for vendors to get involved in doing business with Northwestern. I do like to start with and explain that we spent the last few years trying to establish a better procurement strategy at Northwestern too. At one time, I think we were very centralized. You know, everything had to purchasing had to touch everything, and I don't think that usually works very well in this anyway. And then we went through a period of time where we were very decentralized, meaning there was nobody centrally really trying to look for opportunities for things that we could do as a university. And so every department in school was kind of doing their own thing. And so for the last few years, up until about 3-4 years ago, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's the right place to be. You know, not too centralized, not too decentralized. And so that's what we've tried to do over the last few years. Purchasing resource services is considered that single point of contact for central procurement. And so we're doing a lot of things on behalf of the university, but the departments and schools still have a lot of authority to kind of do some of their own bidding and especially buy the things they need to run their departments on an everyday basis. And so, again, just to highlight our role, we're here to help departments and schools make informed purchasing decisions, not tell them what to buy. They're very independent, right? And so we're just trying to help them. I'm going to get into a couple of these slides. The end result is to save them time and money. We like to really focus on time.
Is it working okay?
Yeah, it's working. Okay, again, so, every department or school, the way our policy reads is departments and schools have the ability to order their own things. If things are going to be, we encourage competitive bidding at any level. It's always a good thing to do. And that's where I think local business enterprise can get involved. If the purchase is going to be over $25,000, bids are required. And either we can do them, a lot of times departments and schools will ask us for help, or the department and schools can solicit bids on their own. At the end of the day, and that's what this slide is meant to show you, they determine what they need to run their program. They can solicit bids. They initiate the request to buy things in the system on their own. And then we come in and provide whatever support is needed. So if somebody has a small purchase they may want to make and they just want some simple advice from purchasing before they go out and get quotes, we can do that. If they need a larger contract and they feel comfortable soliciting proposals from vendors, but they would like to have someone from purchasing to have a seat at the table, so to speak, to help them, we can do that. The third bullet there, managing the entire process, that's probably where our strength is. Procurement is all we do. So we have a lot of departments now that reach out to us for help managing that process. So they're involved in the key parts of it, the defining of requirements and selection of the vendor, but it's helpful to have a purchasing group to help them through that process. But at the end of the day, whether we do the bid or whether the department does the bid, we do have a policy aspect to our responsibilities too. It's the last bullet there. If a department did the bidding, we're the final approvers. So everything over 25,000 trickles through us, so we can, make sure sole sources are appropriately justified. We can make sure we can see what went into the decision that they made if they did get competitive bids. So that's a little bit of the kind of the structure. There's really three, when it comes to the overall strategy of procurement at Northwestern, there's three key things I'd like to hit on. One is the whole idea of strategic sourcing. The other one is preferred vendors. The other one is some more system-related things. And so bear with me while I talk briefly about these three things. Strategic sourcing for us is, again, we are trying to make it easier for our departments and schools to buy the things that they need. It takes a lot of time. Their primary focus, guess what, is not purchasing, it's research, it's education. So if we can find those large buckets of things we need to buy, we'll go ahead and do an RFP, get proposals, award contracts. So when they need to buy those things, they don't have to. So it's like we're doing that work up front to streamline the process of ordering and paying those things down the road. And so that's really what strategic sourcing is. We look at our spend, we talk to departments and schools, we issue formal requests for proposals or invitations to bid. And the departments, we have department folks that are involved in it every step of the way. We award the contracts. Our contracts are always awarded based on a good best value assessment of things. So it's not just low bid, it's delivery capabilities, it's quality, it's service capabilities. It's all those things rolled into a good best value decision. And then, once that contract's in place, we help manage that contract to make sure the prices are staying good, the services are staying good. So the end result of these strategic sourcing efforts are what we call preferred vendors. So when we've gone through a bid and awarded a contract to a vendor, those vendors are called preferred vendors. So those are the vendors we market regularly to departments and schools. It's our effort to try to establish contracts based on the university spend, rather than one department trying to establish an agreement based on their $50,000 of spend, and another department trying to establish a contract based on their $1 million worth of spend. We try to kind of roll it all up and get the best deal possible based on our total spend. It's primarily focused on things that we know departments and schools need all the time. So it's the office supplies, it's copiers, it's lab supplies, it's those types of things. So there will never be a preferred vendor for everything, right? It's only those things that we think are needed on a regular basis. It's not, who's a preferred vendor is not really driven by who the vendor is. I think people at Northwestern have really grabbed a hold of this, but every once in a while we do get a call from a department saying, can't you make so-and-so a preferred vendor? And, so we have to explain, well, it doesn't quite work that way. We don't really establish a preferred vendor relationship just because of who the vendor is. It's usually based on what the product or service is. So it's the copiers. So, okay, we need a preferred vendor for copiers. So we'll go out to bid and award a contract, and those vendors become the preferred vendors. And so sometimes it's one vendor, sometimes it's more than one, where we feel like departments and schools are looking for some choice. And again, they're all established based on a formal invitation to bid. So the reason we promote preferred vendors is hopefully that we know it streamlines the procurement and payment process. Hopefully we're saving some money because establishing a contract based on our total volume usually ends up pretty good. And it minimizes risk to departments and schools as well as conflict of interest concerns. So when a department or school just says, I'm just going to buy this from the preferred vendor contractors, it automatically allows them to get out from under any kind of conflict of interest concern because it's the university's contract, right? So, so there are lots of reasons that we do that. And then just very briefly, many of these preferred vendors end up in our system now, and again, this is all an effort to really streamline the buying and paying for things. So many of our preferred vendors that are catalog driven, they end up in what we call, some of these terms I'm mentioning because if you call on departments and schools at Northwestern, you might hear these things come up, preferred vendors, iBuying. These are catalogs that we are able to put in an electronic marketplace. And then, departments and schools are creating requests to buy things, punching out, and it's very easy for them to create a shopping cart with all the things that you can buy on a particular day. So we do the bid, we pick the vendors, and we put them in, many of them in iBuying. So that's kind of the theme of some of that regular, everyday stuff that we need to buy. Always like to make sure people know that it's not the only way people can buy at Northwestern. You don't have to be an iBuying or a preferred vendor to do business with Northwestern, of course. There's non-catalog purchase orders that can be issued. Many of our departments have Northwestern procurement cards, and so there's a mix of ways to buy and pay for things. iBuying is one of them. Is this making sense? Kind of the step approach here. Okay, so we had a few service areas that were identified to us that we wanted to focus on today. One of them was printing, and so I'm going to talk about that because we've kind of taken a bit of a three-tiered approach to printing. The first is the high-volume copying services. So we did a bid and we awarded a contract, and it used to be with FedEx and now it's with Quartet. That they are our partner for that high volume or printing. So, of course, packs, things like that, the departments and schools now turn to Quartet had that product produced and either distributed to students or sold to students. So that's kind of one level of printing. The second level of printing is business cards, letterhead, envelope, all those stationery type items. The reason we've done a bid and awarded a contract for those things is because there was not a lot of consistency to those things in the past, and so you can understand with a school that's known worldwide for marketing, we weren't branding ourselves correctly, and so there was a real need to get a contract in place to brand appropriately. And so now you see consistency across our business cards and letterhead. It might seem like a little thing, but it's not. It's very important to our communications folks. So we have one large contract for those things. And then we also have a pre-qualified list of printers for all the other stuff. And so, again, do you have to be on that list to do printing? No. But what we've tried to do is we've tried to take the lead on putting out a bid, getting some proposals from printers, and going through a pretty rigorous evaluation. And what we published is a list of about 10 printers that we try to direct departments and schools to get quotes. We don't try to set up contracts for all the other, like specific pricing for all the different types of printing. We just try to establish a list of good printers, and then we tell departments and schools, well, why don't you get a quote from 2 or 3 of these based on your individual print need. And that seems to work out better for things like that. And so there's lots of opportunity when we refresh that list to get new proposals from, especially, diverse vendors and local vendors to make sure they're being included in that process. The next service category was fleet. And so we manage fleet a couple different ways. And, the first is our motor pool. Our motor pool is not as large as it used to be. We don't have a huge daily fleet. I think we partner with a rental car company for some of that now. But Tom can say a few words about how we handle some of the other aspects of fleet, buying vehicles and maintaining those vehicles. And he'll be available afterwards if you have any specific questions too. So.
Good morning. Even though the fleet's not as big as it used to be, we still have about 95, 96 vehicles in the motor pool fleet. We buy all our vehicles, we don't lease any. And it's made up of vehicles in general, basic vans and sedans that we buy for departments to rent on a daily basis or a monthly basis, or sometimes they'll rent from us on an annual basis. We also have special requests from departments where we'll buy a vehicle and they'll agree to keep it for 5 years Sometimes the model of car, the type of car we buy is dictated by the department. Police vehicles is a good example. While at grad school, they want a nice van to transport people back and forth to their facilities. So they want something a little nicer than a normal motor pool vehicle. But we also have the need to maintain those vehicles. Facilities management also has their own fleet, which is more service type vehicles, and they have 2 mechanics full-time on site. We'll try and use them if we can to do a lot of our service work, but lately that hasn't worked out so well. We have a person that's about 3/4 of his time spent on our fleet, doing more light maintenance, oil changes, occasional brake jobs. So we do have a need for taking vehicles to outside shops to get services. We need to buy parts for the services that we do. And that's basically about it.
So there is some opportunity as we move forward and try to maybe add a little more structure to how we buy parts and how we maintain vehicles. There's definitely opportunity there for local businesses to get in touch with us to get involved in that process. As far as NUIT, our information technology, I mean, we were very fond of talking all the time about how decentralized procurement was, but then after you're there for a while, you realize, well, it's really everything is decentralized. It's not just procurement, right? And I'm sure Betty knows that, but we do have a central organization really trying to do the things that make sense centrally while still having departments and schools be allowed to do the things that make sense for them. So Betty's going to say a few words about information technology.
I just listed sort of 3 areas. Information technology at Northwestern is a huge organization, and we participate in all of the programs that Jim mentioned. In the last 2 bullets here, I'll just do those briefly. I'm from Central IT. I'm the director of what's called Management Systems, so we concentrate on application development and support of the business applications of the university. The last 2 on data center products and services and network products and services are probably not areas where you would be able to assist, except in maybe some small niche areas. For the large servers, software, routers, electronics, and those kinds of things, we tend to work with the rather large vendors that are in the marketplace that you know about. But there's always areas for independent software consulting, software development, assistance also in the data center with power, cabling. We work with facilities, but also we run a large data center, which is similar to what any industry would run, and there are opportunities there for independent vendors. In my area, the first one, we actually use a lot of vendors in very specific areas. In consulting, that consulting could be for RFP development. It also could be for software development and other kinds of areas where we may need business analyst assistance or something like that. And we have used local firms in the past. There are some recruiting firms that we've used. I use very specialized talent for staff. It may be a specific programming language or something like that, and so we tend to have to go to recruiting firms to get the talent that we need. We also contract out for technical training. For other kinds of training as well, we work with the HR department on general soft subject training, but we also contract for technical training in specific subject areas. As Jim mentioned, we are centralized for the large enterprise applications, but every school and department has IT workers, and they all develop software and support their local units. It could be networking, local desktop support, but it also could be software development as well. So that's why it's sort of specialized central IT. So I think that's about it. As I said, it's a rather large organization, and there are really probably many opportunities, and I'd like to explore some with you if there are those that would be of interest.
Okay. The last area here is facilities management. So we work very closely with facilities management. The reason I put MRO items up there is because that's one that we've really taken the lead on. We work with facilities, but these are the plumbing supplies, the electrical supplies, the tools and hardware. you know, we have strategically sourced those things, established contracts, and put them in our electronic marketplace to make it easy for these guys to order. And we've also worked with them more extensively recently to try to establish a pre-qualified approach to contractors. You know, this is not necessarily for the capital project, but I really want Charles to talk about that. But we have worked with them to try to make it easier for vendors to demonstrate to us what their capabilities are. And that makes it easier for the project managers then to engage those vendors and get quotes from them and get them on site working quickly. And that's a much longer story than I have time to talk about today. But there was a lot of reasons to do that because there was a little trouble getting through the process to get these vendors on site to start working quickly. And so that was one of the benefits, but the other benefits is it's created some opportunity for vendors. So I want Charles to add whatever he wants to on that, and especially talk a little bit about capital projects.
Good morning. So I'm from facilities management. So what is facilities management at Northwestern? It's a central plant, it's buildings department. So you have an idea. We cover a lot of management for the university buildings. We are a diverse department. We have, I'm in operations, so I'm kind of in the center of the department. But we have on one end, we have a planning department. We have another end, we have a design and construction department. We have our own customer service department. We have about 300 employees, and we service the needs of the university's infrastructure, buildings, everything. The type of things we do, you know, we have, you know, our projects range from, you know, small shops with small purchases to major capital projects, the new buildings. You know, for the university, our responsibility in the university is kind of diverse. You know, for some properties, we may have minimal responsibility, maybe just small maintenance. But some properties, we're fully responsible for those properties. So sometimes you may have done, you can do work at Northwestern, but you may not be actually be doing work for facilities. So we have a diverse range, which kind of includes everything Jim has spoken about earlier. So Jim put a few things up. So MRO, pre-qualified, and capital. Those kind of are a great range of some of the things we do. You know, MRO at facilities managers is really our purchasing department within facilities management that keeps parts on shelves, it keeps things available to our own shops people. The pre-qualified list of providers, that's a program that we work with purchasing. It helps us create a list of vendors that we can go to and solicit bids from for what I'll call recurring work that we commonly need to procure. It's not unique work, but it's more recurring work that we may do. Some vendors may do 20, 30 contracts a year, some may do 3 to 4, but it's at least a pool of people that we can go to. And with purchasing, we refresh that list every year. I mean, it's a great way to work with the university, but it's not a registration. It's really for people that do recurring work, and it helps them get through the procurement process a lot more efficiently than to go through a traditional contract of insurance. Last part is capital projects, which is a large part of what happens in FM. A lot of that work gets procured through a general contractor. So, a great opportunity for somebody to start doing work at Northwestern would be to start working with some of those general contractors or their subcontractors, which would be a great opportunity to start to work your way up and get to be known on campus. So, in general, it's just some of the diversity that comes out of FM. We see all aspects of construction and maintenance and operations.
A couple other quick points about that is, again, you don't have to be on the pre-qualified list in order to be selected. We just try to, just at the event, if they're getting quotes from the vendors on the list. One, the goal is, they're comfortable going with whatever vendor from that list has demonstrated the best value in a particular project. So it's supposed to make the decision point quicker. And then that process of getting them on site is a little quicker. If they get a quote from somebody who's not on the list, they can be selected, but that process of kind of getting the contract signed is what takes a little longer. So again, it's not meant to suggest you have to be on one of these lists to do business with Northwestern, but it's helpful. So probably more of what you came here for, I guess. We really feel like there's lots of opportunity for all vendors, especially with local business enterprise, diverse vendors, because we are always seeking vendors. You know, now that we have a little more structure around procurement, one, we can be a great resource. So if we hear from a vendor and think they seem good, we certainly know the people to put them in front of. We can call Betty and say, hey, we came across this vendor at a vendor show and think they might be worth checking out. So we've become a good resource for other departments and that conduit. You know, so that's I think, you know, very helpful for vendors to recognize. But even when we do more formal bidding, we're always erring on the side of including vendors in that process, because why not, right? I mean, we still have to kind of submit a proposal, we still have to determine the vendor's best value, but we love getting proposals from vendors that help us really, you know, see what's out there and pick the best vendor for Northwestern. And so Quartet's a really good example. They're right here, so you might say, well, how did you think of that sooner? But this time around, they won that business fair and square from all the other bidders. You know, they were the best value in Northwestern, and maybe a small part of that was the fact that they were local, but they earned it fair and square too. They weren't given the tender because they were Evanston vendor. But this is the way these are some ways in which we try to get that information. So you can go to our website. The last page of the presentation has a slide with some of our websites on it. The facilities has a good website. University Services does, NUIDP does, and certainly we do. But then we have a vendor registration form, and I didn't bring paper because it's better if you just go online and fill it out, because you can type it in and hit submit and it comes to us. And so we put you in a central database in purchasing. And that way, when we're ready to do a bid for something, because if we get your application and we put you on the list, understand that, you know, we might not be buying that thing for 6 months or a year, but you're in that list. So when we're ready to put that out to bid, we go and access that list and pull the vendors from it and make sure they include them. So there is tremendous value in filling out that form, having it sent to purchasing, because again, we do two things. We use it when we're doing a bid, and we will provide vendors from that list to departments and schools when they need it. So there's a lot of value in filling that out, getting us your information. Even though, I guess I missed the first bullet, we don't have that. We have a really good system now, but it's not a system that people can go to say, show me all the vendors registered in our system who sell office furniture. It doesn't work that way. Would it be good if it did? Maybe. Probably, but it doesn't. So we try to maintain this information the best we can. This is how we do it. So. The other program we have is called this Wildcard Advantage program. And, you know, the original intent of this program was more centered around faculty, staff, and students for personal use. So if you go to that website, you'll see dry cleaners, you'll see restaurants, you'll see bicycle shops. You know, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But what we've been doing is we've been trying to kind of build a little bit of a bridge between preferred vendors and the Wildcard Advantage program, because there are vendors we know our departments and schools need at times, but they'll probably it'll never get to the point of spend where we'll go out and do a bid and try to establish a contract for it. And so we're thinking there's a place for us to put them on this Wildcard Advantage program and market them to departments and schools. And two of my favorite examples in that category, one are photographers. Of course we hire photographers. I don't know if it would be ever on our radar to kind of try to do a bid for photography services. So if there are good photographers out there, we'd like to get them on this list so departments and schools are aware of them when they need a photographer. And the other one is like framing services. You know, every once in a while we'll get a call from a company that frames pictures, and it's just not something we'll probably ever pursue as central procurement. So if there are a couple of good local framing companies, could we put them on this list? And then if a department or school has a picture that needs to be framed, they go to that list to get some names of vendors to kind of to look at. So I think it's important for you to go to that site too if you fit any of those categories, to connect with our marketing person to get enrolled in that program as well. That one, you know, you don't need to go through a big. That's very different than the preferred vendor list. It's very comprehensive. So, a few things to remember about how we do business. you know, we do have a desire that for many of the things we buy, we have a system now that's very accommodating with regards to the issuance of purchase orders to vendors. If we're going to do business with you, we really want to be able to deliver a purchase order to you. That's our commitment to pay you, right? And so now we have a system that's, if somebody has to buy something for $8,000, they put a requisition and it gets approved by the department, and within 2 hours, the vendor will get an official purchase order. So I think it's important for you to know that when you're working with our departments and schools, that it's best if you have a purchase order. If you're selected by a vendor, again, we don't have a system where we put every vendor we meet in the financial system. And so if you submitted a quote to us or a department and are selected, then we do have to go through the process of getting you added to the system. So, you know, there's a vet, you've got to get your W-9, you've got to, you know, so just kind of put you on notice that we need some stuff in order to get you in the system so we can issue you purchase orders and, of course, cut your checks, right? You know, we have to make sure our invoices make their way to accounts payable. It's improved a lot over the years. For a while, it was a little hit or miss. If your invoice ended up on somebody's desk, if you got to accounts payable or not, you know, good luck. So we've tried to kind of improve on that, because if we bought something from a vendor, we want them to get paid in a timely manner, period. So all this system stuff really helps us try to accomplish that. There is still something that a department has to do. I mean, if you get issued a purchase order and you've provided the work, they still have to authorize that. We call this three-way match, kind of system speak. They have to go in the system and authorize that, yes, you did the work and I want them to be paid. So these are good things for you to know. So if you're dealing with a department or school, this is how we do business. And then we do have to loop our legal folks in if there's a contract involved, and we have to loop our risk management department in if there's insurance involved. So just in summary, again, our role is to help departments and schools save time and money and select vendors based on best value assessments, and hopefully this minimizes some risks to the university as well. Providing local business enterprises, diverse vendors, opportunity is a priority of ours. There's a special emphasis on that when we're looking at some of these pre-qualified lists. I mean, we definitely think there's opportunity there to make sure we've got some diverse local vendors on those lists. But there's no desire to not give vendors opportunity. We're here, you know, we are on the side of including vendors, right? When we know them. It's important to keep in touch with us. It's important to try to still maintain relationships with individual departments and schools too, because again, we are here still in some ways very decentralized. And remember a few things from that previous slide, that you know, hey, we want to do business with lots of vendors, but there's a way in which we do business, and so we want to make sure you're informed on how we do that. I think you got the handout, so that's all of our contact information. Again, we have a website where we don't publish bids there. Something we think about at times, but at this point we don't put all of our bid opportunities out there. Probably the biggest reason is because we don't know all of our bid opportunities, since departments and schools do a lot of them on their own. But we have information there about how to become a vendor, how to do business with Northwestern. Facilities, Charles didn't mention this, but they have some good information on their website, especially when it comes to upcoming projects, current projects. Some of the general contractors' names are listed on their website, so if you want to do subcontracting work on any of our projects, those vendors' names are on the facility's website, so you can contact them to see if there's any subcontracting opportunities. And then university services and NUIC as well. So that's really all I had. Thank you for having us, Joe and Godwin. And,
I'd like to thank Jim and his team from Northwestern for the presentation. Next up, or I should say before we invite Mr. Daniels. Just a couple of house cleaning items I want to cover. So there's more coffee in the back. That's it. Secondly, bathrooms. So the women's bathroom is on the 4th floor. Please pardon our dust. We're in the process of doing some construction of the 4th floor bathroom. So the women's bathroom is down the corner, around the corner down the hall. And the men's bathroom is located on the 2nd floor near council chambers. Those of you that are in the layout of the building. Also keep in mind that all the PowerPoint presentations that the presenters are going over will be online, so you'll have access as well. We're recording this morning's session, all right? If we can, we're actually doing really well on time, and I just want to take about 10 minutes and see if we can get through this. And I would like for the businesses that are here to please, we're going to just stand up, give you about 15 seconds, just so we know who's in the room, to tell us your name, the name of your business, and what type of business in about 30 seconds. And I'm going to start here with Rick and see if we can get through this quickly.
My name is Richard Prince. I'm with Nature's Perspective Landscaping, located here in Evanston. We're a design, build, contracting firm, and the landscaping in the name tells what we do. Thank you very much.
And they do wonderful work. We have hired them.
Thank you.
I'm Patrick Hughes. I'm with Inclusion Solutions. We have about 350 different products to help facilities become ADA compliant. We develop some of them and the others we So from ramps to alert systems, we help election officials all over the country make their polling places accessible, gas stations, drive-thrus for people who are deaf. We invent solutions when we hear about barriers in the marketplace.
Thank you.
My name is Peter Kitzhammer, and I'm from Ross Auto Care, and we repair and maintain foreign cars as well as domestic cars, so European, Asian, and domestic.
My name is Laura Mauer, and my business is Laura Mauer Garden Design. I'm a landscape designer, and I do seasonal container gardens, like median plantings and that sort of thing that I'm here today.
Thank you.
My name is Joe Bayless. I'm a partner at Bayless Architects in downtown Evanston. We are a full-service architecture, planning, and interior design. Thank you.
I'm Ken Bayless. I'm the other half of that.
Hi, I'm Bill Homer. I'm an owner of Green Home Chicago. It's the Midwest premier destination for eco-friendly home decor products. We do commercial as well as residential, and have products ranging from flooring, cabinetry, countertops, kitchens, wall coverings, furniture, and office furniture as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elaine Kemna-Irish, the new Executive Director of the Evanston Chamber. I'm not new to the Chamber. I'm here today to find out information I can share with our Chamber members who represent all the several types of business in Evanston. Thank you.
I'm Carl Hova from a company called EDI, and we are consulting engineers, surveyors, civil engineering, environmental compliance people, and thank you very much.
My name is Kathleen Brooks. I work with Legal Shield. We provide legal services for individuals, small business owners, and employers also bring us in for their voluntary employee benefit. District 65 has us as an employee benefit. Kathleen, Legal Shield.
I'm Neely, Andy on call. We're a handyman, repair, small remodeling company, flooring, tiling, painting, carpentry, most anything. Thank you.
My name is Chip Uckman from National Award Services. We do signage, promotional products, awards, name badges, etc. Thank you.
My name is Jafar Sanktrash. I own JMB Transmission and Auto Repair in 1905 Greenleaf.
My name is Charlotte Hilton. Partners with E-Town Real Estate Acquisition, Rehab, etc.
Connie Lido. My company is Turf Care Landscaping. We're commercial landscaping. Been in business for 32 years in Evanston. Very proud to be here in our community and work in our community. Thank you.
I'm Dan Kowal from Parity Systems. We do custom software development and items
Deion Jones, True Power Electric is my business. We do residential, commercial, emergency work depending on the time. That's it. Okay, now.
Hi, I'm Stephen Dime from Flowers for Dreams. We're a socially conscious floral delivery and floral catering service, and we specialize in institutional relationships, whether it be corporate, organizational, municipalities, so on and so forth.
Spencer Savoy from Bluestone Environmental, General Manager and Estimator. We do asbestos abatement, mold remediation, and a few other environmental things, but that's mainly it.
I'm Mike Donnelly. I'm with North Shore Community Bank. I focus on small business development, including commercial mortgages, lines of credit for working capital, and treasury management. Thank you.
Clinton Ferguson. I'm with Infrastructure Engineering. We're a design and construction management engineering consulting firm.
Excuse me, I'm Roger Knuth. I'm Lapham Systems. We do Macintosh support and repair. We're one of just a few premium service providers authorized by Apple to do warranty repair around the country on new Macs. And we just opened a second location in Lincoln Park, where we're located with our home office at Dempster and Elmwood. Thanks.
My name is Becky Esther. My company name is Betty's Back Office. I'm administrative support system to small business, mostly construction contractor, helping them set up their business office and sometimes help them in filing their taxes and the work. So that's what I do, and I also work voluntarily with a housing organization, affordable housing. Thank you.
My name is Sigrid Pilgrim. I'm with a company called Specialty Premium Group. We provide promotional products. Any product that you can imprint it, embroider it, engrave it, deboss it, or etch it, we can provide it. And the occasions could be anything to, reward an employee with a special product, or celebrate an occasion like a wedding, or thank a client or customer, or just have little tchotchkes to give out at trade fairs or to promote your business in general. We're located right across the street from the Y, and if you ever have any need for any product that you can put your name or logo or website on it, give us a call, secret@specialtypremiumgroup.com. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Driscoll. Company represented Real Tape. We manufactured pressure-sensitive tapes used mostly in MRO type of applications, anywhere from masking tape to duct tape to double-sided tape and film.
Good morning. My name is Leon Mitchell. I'm the president and CEO of Phoenix Security Limited. We provide security guards for services on the North Shore. My office is in Skokie, but about 70% of my staff are Evanston residents. So we concentrate on the Evanston North Shore area. We don't do any installation of security devices. We just provide the uniform officers, good uniform officers who don't sleep. I started the business in 1990 when I was an Evanston police sergeant, and we've been operating since then.
Hi, Bill Kostock with John J. Cahill Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning. We do residential, commercial, and industrial work.
Hi, Kendall Strickland with Strictly Plumbing and Remodeling. I do service, commercial, residential, little everything, gas, everything. It's my company. Just trying to get familiar with everybody else out here and network and do business, good work, good quality work for cheap prices.
My name is Paul Mark Wallace. I'm known as Mark Wallace in the Evanston area. I own Insync Consulting Services. We are a traditional office technology group, routers, firewall servers. We also have another smaller company. We teach entrepreneurship development for the underemployed. One of my students is in the room. Been in Evanston my whole life.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Judith Treadway, NWEBE committee member, and I'm glad to see everyone come out and make sure that you're on our business directory. so that you will have, so we will have access to knowing your business. And also, you're always welcome to come to one of our NWBE meetings if you have a concern or wish to pitch your business. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marion Bowen, and I have an office building at 1227 Dodge. It's called the Marquee Building, and it's about 5,500 square feet. I'm vacant right now. I'm looking for new tenants, and so if anyone is interested, I can do anywhere from 200 to 5,500 square feet. Look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you.
I am Sherry Kujala. I run a small publishing firm at 1227 Dodge, and it's a music publishing firm, very specialized industry, but we enjoy what we do in the music world.
Good morning, I'm Frank Munz from Allegra Marketing Print and Signs, commercial printing, digital printing, and signage of all kinds. Serve in Evanston since '64.
Thank you. And thank you all. So to keep us moving and on track, I think the most important part of our morning will be your opportunity not only to network business to business, but to personally introduce yourself to the presenters that are here. So I'm going to do my best to keep this morning moving. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Scott Daniels. He's the manager of Procurement Services Division at Rotary International. Please stand.
We're off to a great start. Good. Wow, what a diverse group here today. It is a real pleasure to be here today. I'm really excited to hear about all the different things that are going on with the supplier base. I work for Rotary International, and what I'm going to do here today is talk a little bit about Rotary first, because most people don't know what Rotary does. And then second, I'm going to talk about the procurement process and how we procure at Rotary, and finally get down to the bottom line of what's in it for you folks. Okay? What do we buy here locally at Rotary, and give my contact information so we can exchange business cards, which is the final product of what we're trying to do today. First of all, before I begin, I want to tell you that I'm really uncomfortable here today, and I'll tell you why. I'm an Island brand, and I'm surrounded here by Northwestern people. I went to the football game, my first Northwestern football game when Iowa played, and we got pounded really, really bad. And I just hope that this presentation goes a lot better today. Okay, Rotary is a diverse group. We have 1.2 million members worldwide, somewhere between 33 and 34,000 clubs. There's 2 clubs here in Evanston, I think that's the last I heard. There's the Lighthouse Club, and there's another one here. And also, I live in Glenview, just a half an hour away, as you folks know, west of here. There's 2 clubs there right now. A lot of very highly motivated people. And they're spread all over the world in 200 countries. And growing throughout the world, we're one of the few nonprofit organizations that's growing in the world. A lot of the growth right now is going on in Asia. Rotary clubs are actively involved in a wide range of humanitarian, intercultural, and educational activities. And Rotary members invest a lot of their time in trying to promote service and projects that are primarily encompassing 6 different areas of focus. Rotary's done a lot of work in trying to capture what is it that we do? What is it that 1.2 million people do to support humanitarian and philanthropical causes? And we divide our efforts into 6 major categories: supporting education, providing clean water, promoting peace, saving mothers and children, growing our local economies, and fighting disease. 1.2 million people that are all focused on these 6 areas is really an exciting opportunity and a great place to work, an exciting environment of city to work in. But right now, we're primarily known as our focus for fighting polio. Rotary is highly engaged in eradicating polio. There are, at the last time I saw, 4 countries left that still have some polio. India has recently announced in the last year and a half that they've had no new cases of polio. So we are making progress in fighting the scourge of this disease. And we as Americans, the think a lot about it because it's not here, but it is prevalent in some countries, and we're not going to stop until we eliminate polio. We consists of professional leaders throughout industry, and we are always looking for leaders that are willing to join the cause, to exchange ideas, and take action. And that is what Rotary is all about. So let's talk a little bit about Evanston. We have this big white building that's off of Sherman. We're at 1560 Sherman Avenue. That building was built in 1977, and we purchased it in 1988. And it's about 400,000 square feet, 19 stories, 3-story annex, 5-story parking garage, 373 parking spaces. But when I was trying to put together this presentation, I thought, what's the most important thing, especially to most of us coming out of that recession? What provides jobs? It's 97% occupied, has 530 employees, has 600 tenants. That is 600 people with 40 organizations that are within the group. And 50% of the people are within a 5-mile radius of Rotary. And we also pay taxes. Where's the mayor? Is the mayor still here? We pay $1.8 million of property taxes to the community, which supports the counties of Cook, Evanston, Fire and Protection, and school districts. We have a diverse set of operations. And to my knowledge, this is the first supply chain presentation that's been given. Because, in my view, it's because Rotary is so focused on its customers. But to provide its customers and to provide the Rotarians with the service, there's quite an extensive supply chain organization that's within Rotary providing those services. We have a warehouse that's in Lincolnwood, Illinois. It's 28,000 square feet. It's got 14 people. And we print and publish in 9 languages that gets sent all over the world. Again, we ship worldwide. We also have a Rotarian magazine that's got a circulation of 440,000 throughout the world. And then we also publish regionally in 36 languages, in 36 regional magazines that go out to various spots in various countries, also throughout the world in their languages. We have a strong online presence that's growing. You can see us at www.rotary.org. We also have a Rotary store where you can order, if you're a Rotarian, you can order Rotary materials. And then we also we have a number of licensed suppliers which we deal with, who you can deal with as Rotarians to also get goods and services. One of which is sitting in this room, if I may. So the building and the things that are going on inside Rotary are exciting. And we're real proud of our record within Rotary and what we're trying to do. And our building itself has received a number of awards. We've received the LEEDS Gold Award. If you're in the construction industry, the LEEDS Award is something that companies and construction people are trying to achieve right now. The Gold Award is something we're very proud of for our energy savings and our reduction in consumption of energy and water. We've won the Energy Star Award. We've also won the ASHRAE Award, which I had to look that up and figure out what that meant. It's American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning, and it's because of the equipment that we've installed. We put a lot of money in trying to save energy and water and resources within that building that houses over 1,000 people. So we're really proud of the awards, the presence, and what we're doing in Evanston to really help the community, bring jobs and service to the community. So let's talk supply chain. I went on to Google, when I was putting this presentation together, I went on to Google and I said, okay, tell me, how do you define the elements of a supply chain? And this is what I got. Every one of those little boxes is some professor or some business person, whatever, who's put their rendition of how you define a supply chain. And I put that in here because there's a lot of ways that you can look at a supply chain. But I saw a presentation some time ago that really told me the way that I would think of a supply chain, and I modified it. There are major elements of supply chain, including strategy, sustainability, risk, resiliency, and visibility. When you look at the issues that are out in the marketplace today, these 5 areas of focus capture what's on the mind of us primarily as professionals in the industry. And I added one more for Rotary, service. So look at it as there's 6 major categories. Again, strategy, sustainability, risk, resiliency, and visibility, and service. Regarding strategy, our strategy is to strategically source products and services of improved quality, service, and cost. And it's one of the things that I've done since coming to Rotary is try to put in a really robust strategic sourcing program where we take major contracts and strategically go after through a robust process of how to select those suppliers on a fair, professional, and equitable basis to come to an agreement and finally a contract to provide goods and services. And also at Rotary, we're streamlining our operations. We're going through a process right now of really looking hard at our operations and figuring out how we can streamline and make it faster to better serve our customers, which are the 1.2 Rotarians worldwide. And then sustainability. Andy, we have to live in a cave not to be talking sustainability. Sustainability is a big issue to us all. And as I pointed out on a previous slide, we have a lot of green initiatives going on within that building over on Sherman Avenue. We have the awards, which we just talked about, which is recycling and so forth. We have energy programs, which I also talked about a minute ago. We have business solutions, which are streamlined to try to reduce our resources, our consumption, and make it more efficient. And to do that, we went through a whole process of doing a strategic sourcing process of finding an office services supplier. We took out all of our old printing equipment, we put in new printing equipment, put in a staff that is leaner, and with that, we're supporting our operations going forward with a much more leaner and effective staff. And finally, Green Committee, we have a very active Green Committee that works with the City of Evanston in putting in initiatives here locally in the Evanston area. Risk is a big issue in the supply chain. As you know, what happened in Japan with the tsunami there, risk became probably the primary issue to supply chain. A lot of supply chain folks that deal on a worldwide basis. Well, we have a full-time risk management department at Rotary that ensures full insurance compliance and reviews all contracts, major contracts, for compliance to insurance requests and requirements. We have new supplier evaluations. We perform new supplier evaluations as needed to check out suppliers to see if they conform to what our requirements and needs are. And we also request full supplier disclosure if needed in order to really understand what supplier operations are all about. And safety compliance is big to us. That is, we have an operation that has full safety services within the building, life safety and security systems. We won the Fire Chiefs Participation Award, and we also are designated as a training building within the Evanston Fire Department. And finally, we have a security program that supports our activities. In terms of resiliency, we evaluate major suppliers with multiple bids. We select suppliers based on overall service criteria. We source dual suppliers where necessary. Frankly, I personally like single source suppliers. We don't like to split or buy philosophically, but if we need to, we'll have dual supply where we think it's prudent in order to minimize risk to operations. Sometimes it is prudent to have more than one supplier. And also we have a Rotary we have a Rotary disaster recovery plan that we have implemented in case something does happen on the facility. We can go off facility and operate going forward. Regarding visibility, visibility is another big issue to operations. We seek full disclosure from our suppliers in terms of risk factors and cost, and we monitor costs and risk factors. We implemented purchase orders for contracts and major purchases. We install terms and conditions on our POs, and suppliers must be approved by procurement. Again, the procurement process serves 1.2 million Rotarians, 34,000 clubs worldwide, 7 international offices, and with a very small, lean support staff to keep everything going. So what we look for with suppliers, what we look for in our supply base, are suppliers that can get the job done with a minimum of supervision. We don't really have the time to monitor and maintain a real hands-on relationship day to day. We need suppliers and look for suppliers that can come in and get the job done, again, almost as an extension of our own operations. So let's get into what we buy. We buy a wide array of diversified goods and services worldwide. We support a staff of over 650 people, and to get that job done, we purchase materials, excuse me, goods and services all over the world. I did a listing of what we buy worldwide, and we buy a lot of events, travel, administration, information technology, mail and freight, marketing and branding services, publications, recognition products. And this is just the top of the list. We also, as Northwestern, have a long line, diversified services and goods are bought all over the organization, very diversified organization. This is some of the top buys that we buy, again, worldwide. But let's talk locally. If you take a look at what we buy locally here, just in this area, again, property taxes comes up to the top of the list. Repair, maintenance, and construction, and goods and services. There's a lot of action that goes on within that building and within the area. And we need the goods and services to support that action. Utilities, hotel, restaurants, events, recognition items, software, travel, insurance, banking supplies, and office supplies. And this is just the top of the list. There's other things that we buy far above and beyond what you see on this list. Again, through a wide and diversified organization. So one of the things that Godwin requested is to have a list of major projects that's going on. Again, as I spoke before, we just sourced a new office services project, and we have a new office services provider. We also, on top of that, recently sourced our recognition products to a new supplier. We ship awards all over the world. When people donate to Rotary, they get an award. All of those get shipped, again, worldwide. We sourced a new supplier to provide most of those services. And we got a couple projects that are in process. This spring, we are going to put in a new conference center in the facility at Sherman Street. And that project is underway right now. And then in the summer of 2014, next year, we're going to have the new visitor center, which is going to be completed. And that's going to be an extensive construction remodeling operation that's in the planning stages right now at Rotary. So when we talk about Rotary, when we talk about the supply chain and what's in it for you and everybody else, and all the discussion that goes on with the 600 to 800 people that are within the organization, I look at it, it all boils down to the customer. And who is the ultimate customer? We have to keep in mind that we have to remember the reason for all this activity, the reason that we're here, and the reason that we spend this money to our local and worldwide community. The adventure of life is to learn. The purpose of life is to grow. The nature of life is to change. And the challenge of life is to overcome. The essence of life is to care. The opportunity of life is to serve. The secret of life is to dare. And the spice of life is to be ready. And the beauty of life is to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. We were actually doing really well on time, and I'd like to thank Marty Lyons, who reminded me now would actually be a really good time just to take a brief break. So if we can take a quick little 10-minute break, that'll give you an opportunity just to network a bit amongst yourselves. If you need to use the bathroom, as reminded, the women's bathroom is located on the 4th floor, just down the hall around the corner. Men's bathroom is on the 2nd floor over here. Council chambers, there's signs that will direct you. Let's go ahead and take a little break and come back at 9:50. Thank you. I'd now like to call Mr. Michael Cornell, who's the president of Shore Management. Michael.
Thank you. Again, my name is Michael Cornell. I'm the president of ECM. We're a general contracting and construction management company affiliated with development. We're currently working on a position to get consideration. Along those same lines, if there are items that you don't understand when you're looking at an opportunity to bid work or pick up some work, being forthright and coming clean on that on the front end always puts you in the best position. It's very rare that a company, let alone a contractor, understands everything about what they're doing. So being transparent and laying everything out on the table during that initial process, it not only establishes a rapport, but again, it creates transparency and it puts you in the best position to actually get work in the end. It's a very competitive environment, so when it comes down to choosing contractors, you've got to know where you stand with each other. So that's the next step. Transitioning here, providing a fully responsive bid proposal package presentation is very, very important. If you're bidding something and you choose to exclude information, knowingly or unknowingly, that sets you back a step early on in the consideration process. It may illustrate to a contractor looking at information that maybe this company doesn't have a grasp of what we're talking about. Despite the fact that a package may clearly state what it is you're looking for, if someone chooses not to provide that information, it starts you off on the wrong foot. So being sure that you provide a fully responsive proposal is crucially important. Again, not to beat a dead horse on that topic, but many proposals that we receive, not just with the Evanston NSP program, but any job that we do, many proposals are incomplete. Many are complete. So those that are complete immediately step up to the top of the heap. So that allows you to put yourself in a very good position for being evaluated and actually getting some work. Being consistent about how you produce the information is also very important. Every company has their own system when they're presenting information. When it comes to contracting and bidding work, general contractors see value in being able to compare, we say apples to apples, one proposal to another. So we create packages that are given to a subcontractor such that they can fill every piece of information out in there, and then we can compare it to someone else, and we can know, oh, this is an apples-to-apples comparison. They have everything here, they have everything here, and now it's a fair and equitable review process. When that information isn't consistent, it makes it very, very difficult to compare, and short of being subjective, you can't be objective in the comparison process between bids. So as a contractor bidding work, when we bid work, we want to present the information precisely how the client wants to see it. And even though we have our own systems on how we look at information within our own company. So when you're bidding work, very important to understand how the information is to be presented. And if it's unclear, again, just simply ask questions and you put yourself in a good spot. This is another area that companies often miss out on opportunities. Determining what business certifications and qualifications that your business can attain, figuring out what those are and seeking those certifications is a fantastic step. And it's often a missed opportunity for companies. So some certifications and qualifications that are out there, minority businesses, women-owned business, emerging businesses, disadvantaged businesses, there are certification processes for all of those certifications. There are companies that can qualify for those certifications that may not understand how to do it and are overwhelmed by thinking about it, but they are not being able to know the processes. And it's a missed opportunity. Section 3 business concerns, similar to disadvantaged businesses. I have a note here for RRP certified businesses. In the world of renovations nowadays, there are very strict requirements when working with, potentially working around business as an RFP certified company, again, puts you in a position where you can compete with renovation projects that you might not normally be able to compete with. And then, of course, whether everybody here is in contracting or not, OSHA, being certified in safety, essentially, is very important. And there are many contractors that understand the business, but haven't taken the time to get their individual certified or their company certified. Basic business tenet, whether it's construction or not, pursuing work that is consistent with your current capacity. I think every business has a goal to grow at a reasonable pace. Sometimes businesses bite off a little bit more than they can chew, or pursue work that is slightly out of their capacity range. Understanding what your capacity is a critical element, because getting the work is one thing, and that is a challenge, but once you have it, completing the task, that's another job in and of itself. So if you can get something, that's great, but if you can't finish what you started, it's going to be awfully hard to get more work and ultimately grow your business. So creating a consistent growth plan is important. So understanding your capacity is very, very important. Along these same lines, in contracting, in construction, which is a very volatile business, so many moving parts and pieces, so many variables, every job is slightly different. So what you apply to one job, you may not be able to apply to another. Making certain, as a contract business, not to take shortcuts. Think, well, I didn't do that on this job, so I don't have to do that on this job. I'm speaking generally here, but it's with the pressure of getting a project done in a certain time frame and for a certain amount of money, companies can fall to kick themselves to the curb by taking shortcuts to thinking they're doing the right thing. And we work with contractors that, over the years, we've worked with contractors that try to do this, and we take note of this, and then, the next go around, we say, well, we can't very well put ourselves or our client in that position if this company's going to take shortcuts. Now, on the flip side, if a company stays the course and notably does not take shortcuts, and their schedule suffers a little bit, or the dollars suffer a little bit, we as a general contractor take note of that and say, hey, they stayed the course, they didn't take shortcuts, we all suffered a little bit, but here's the next go around, and we want to make sure this company gets the best opportunity to participate on a job of ours because they didn't take any shortcuts. So those things do not go unnoticed in business. Lastly here, I thought it was important to touch on the odds of success in bidding work as a contractor. Contracting, again, is a very volatile industry. Companies are constantly coming and going. It's a very, very competitive industry. So understanding that when you submit a bid, you're likely entering a very competitive environment. And kind of managing your expectations there is important, because if you know going into it it's very competitive and the odds may not always be in your favor, even though you're doing all these steps we've talked about, it may not work out for you. But if you understand that, and you understand you got to consistently throw that net out and find those projects that you feel confident if you got the nod, you could make a difference on, you could be a team member, then you won't be dissuaded from submitting those bids. Again, over the course of the business here, we work with contractors that come in really gung-ho and they want to participate, and they put a bid in and they don't get the nod, they put another one in and they don't get the nod, and then they say, you know what, that's it, we're out. We can't put the sweat equity in here. We're not getting any return on our investment, so to speak. And my response to those individuals is always, you're competing against a large pool of candidates, and getting your foot in the door is the hardest step. And once you get there, you get the opportunity to prove what you can actually do in the field. And then once you can prove that, you have another significant advantage. But getting to that point, there is a significant threshold. There's no doubt about it. Any project we work on, we look to be fair and equitable, and we put a significant amount of time and energy into doing that. But again, the realities are just that we get inundated with bids and information. So as a contractor, understanding that when you're putting your bid in, I think psychologically that puts you in a position to grow a successful business, whether it's right away on that one job you're looking at, or it's going to be that next job or that next job. We look at many opportunities that we don't get. So, just keeping that positive outlook and knowing you're going to put in a lot of time and energy on creating responsive bids and proposals. But in the long run, although it may not pay off immediately, it will absolutely and exponentially pay off in the long run. You'll get noticed. That was it in a nutshell. And we also provided an upcoming project that DCM's going to be working on. It's the Dorchester Artist Housing project in Chicago. It's a renovation of an existing CHA property. 32 units. We'll likely be starting in the next few months. We're saying summer of this year. Roughly $8 million. We're in the budgeting phase of that project, but that's going to be a tremendous opportunity for any subcontractor that participates in that effort. It's going to be a very interesting project. Also noted a couple contacts from DCM, myself and Lori Jonassy, which manages our office. We have an open door policy at DCM. We're happy to take any calls from any interested parties that are looking to learn about contracting, looking for opportunities, understanding how they can grow their businesses. So it's, we're looking to network on that level, just like everybody else is, and meet potentially good team members to work with. I've left a small stack of my business cards here for anybody who's interested in coming to pick them up after the meeting here, and would welcome any questions at this point or future conversations. Thank you.
We are doing really well on time. The faster we go through the presentations and based on the conversations that we just had a few minutes ago, it'll give us a little bit more time to network afterwards. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kathy. She is the comptroller and representative here for District 65. Kathy.
Questions about upcoming construction projects. First of all, let me say that District 65 is a major employer in the city of Evanston. We employ 1,100 people, employees. We have a major purchasing power with our 18 buildings, especially during the last 8-7 years. We have been doing a lot of improvements to our aging buildings. Several of our sites are older than 100 years old, improving our sites, landscaping, and technology. And this slide illustrates, talks about legal requirements. And I know we talked a little bit about that. But we follow, District 65 follows school code. And what it means is that we bid construction projects over $50,000. There are some school districts that bid every project. But because of our size, we only bid whatever is required by school code. Supplies, materials, and services over $25,000. And contracts are awarded to lowest responsible and responsive bidders. So, so if you did a roof for us and it collapsed and you're bidding again, you're not going to get the contract. Exceptions include student transportation services, contracts with printing reports, tax warranties, perishable food and beverages, service requiring a high degree of professional skills. I'm talking about architectural services or engineering services, single source items, telephones, telephone service, duplicating machines, copiers, computers, software, technology in general, natural gas, procurement from other governmental agencies, including state bid, cooperatives, and consortiums. We do take advantage of the state bids for vehicle purchasing. We have a fleet much smaller than about 10 vehicles, 13. Paper purchases, which have to have a recycle component specific percentage, which is actually the school code, and school furniture. Also, we utilize cooperatives and consortium purchases for offices, school supplies, food, for food service programs, school board and legal, general liability insurance, and our school district belongs to a couple co-ops, Self and Click. Click and Self is for workers' compensation insurance, storage shed, school furniture, and garbage and recycling services. Bid process usually, it's not a quick process for any, I think, governmental entity, including municipalities and school districts. And, first of all, bids need to be identified and approved by the board. Bid specifications must be developed. Bids are advertised in local newspapers, usually Evanston and Skokie Review. And once we put the bids on the street, we get them, they are open publicly and read out loud. Bid recommendations are analyzed. Again, we do our bid to lowest responsible and responsive bidders, and they are submitted to the board for approval. And this process can take from a month and out to several months. Again, we touched about that already, but there are several requirements that vendors must meet. They have to submit a certificate of insurance, meet the School District 65 requirements, W-9 form. Bid bonds are required for all projects. Not every bid requires performance and payment bonds, but a lot of them do, such as transportation services, for example. They have to comply with Criminal Code Act, Illinois Drug-Free Workplace Act, as well as with Prevailing Wage Act. And have to sign written sexual harassment policy and provide contractors certification. So all of that is required, and if the bid is submitted, and even if it's the lowest bid and some of these items are missing, that's a potential for losing a bid. This slide illustrates potential projects, future projects that School District 65 will be doing. I believe that asbestos abatement is being pushed a little bit to March, as well as the auditorium and dry cleaning. I think it's going to be pushed to April. Is that correct? We also will be doing the housekeeping supplies usually in April and May. For the school district, everything is very cyclical. We do have the same projects. Again, the schools open and close, so we buy a lot of the same things, except for the new projects. And again, we've been doing a lot of bond sales recently and adding to our buildings. The latest one includes Lincoln School. So those are additional projects, and they are larger in scope. information. As I mentioned, I do have Bonnie Penn's business card. She's the person to go to. Again, also Don Stevenson, who can give you first-hand information about construction projects. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Kathy, and she will be here for direct questions. The next person that I'd like to bring to the stand is Ms. Kimberly Henry. She's the supervisor of accounts payable and purchasing, and here representing District 202.
Thank you all for coming. As Cindy just mentioned, my name is Kimberly Henry, and I'm the purchasing agent representing Evanston Township High School. And what I'd like to do here first is just tell you a little bit about Evanston Township. We are a one-school school district, but Evanston Township High School is a 4-year, 9-12 comprehensive high school occupying a 65-acre campus here in Evanston. We were established back in 1883, and we serve the Evanston community as well as a small portion of the neighboring school area. Sorry. Is that better? Okay. So, as I was saying, Evanston Township High School, we are a one-school school district. We serve the Evanston community, portions of the Skokie community. We are a comprehensive 9 through 12 school district occupying a 65-acre campus here in Evanston. We were established in 1883, and our campus consists of 4 wings on our main building with schools that were added later, those wings that serve the building. Evanston has more than 1.2 million square feet of indoor space, which is huge. We're one of the largest high school facilities in the U.S. under one roof as far as square footage goes. And our campus includes a planetarium, a greenhouse. We have a 2-acre on-site nature center classroom facility. We also have a computer lab that's known as Bacon Computer Center that houses over 200 computers in 7 network labs. We have smart labs where students can investigate careers in computer-based technology. We also have an on-site daycare, and that daycare serves as a lab for child study classes, and many of the Evanston employees have their children attend the daycare as well as it's being open to the public as well. We do have career and technical education students that run an auto repair lab, and they learn about engineering applications in computer-aided design, lasers, and robotics using state-of-the-art equipment. Our library, which is networked with all of Illinois' libraries, has a 90,000 volume collection and extensive audio-visual resources. Performance facilities include a 1,500-seat auditorium, and then there are 2 smaller auditoriums, one known as the Little Theater, which seats about 100, has a 100-seat capacity, and the Little Theater, which has about a 330-seat capacity. We also can boast that we have 15 gyms within the facility. We have a fitness and wellness center, 2 swimming pools, one an Olympic-size swimming pool. We have a field house, an indoor track included in that field house, as well as tennis courts. Our outdoor facilities include a new track imagine such a huge facility of this size does require a lot of proactive, preventative maintenance care to ensure the safe, secure environment to promote learning for our kids. And so equally impressive is the fact that we have an operating budget of over $60 million that's required to maintain the district's buildings. So, as required by Illinois School Code, all of our projects that are over $25,000 are publicly bid. The bid process involves publicizing, at a minimum, in the local newspaper, the name of the project and all pertinent information, such as the location, and the date and time, and any pre-bid and bid openings. The information on where to obtain bid specifications for the projects would also be included in the ad. Evanston Township High School does make every effort to post on our website any current and upcoming bids so that you can be aware of those. But you can also be added to our vendor list, and you can do that by one of two ways. The first way is to submit on your company's letterhead your request to our purchasing office, your wish to be included in our bid list with your services and products that we provide. And another way, which is under development, is by signing up for our free e-alert email service, whereby you are sent alerts about upcoming and current projects. Now that is under development, and we will be doing that very shortly. And so basically there are two types of bid projects that we undertake: those that require the assistance of an architect, and those that are done in-house through the purchasing office. The ones that require the services of an architect are those that may be a little more complex and detail-specific in technicality, and they involve substantial sums of money. The projects handled in-house may be of a less technical nature. Bid packets containing project specifications are automatically sent by mail or email, or can be downloaded from the website to those vendors who are on our bid list for those projects, with the exception of there being a mandatory pre-bid meeting. Usually you have to obtain those bid specifications at the bid meeting in person. Projects requiring the services of our architects will have instructions published in the newspaper as to how to obtain those bid specs. And by law, so by law, all bid openings for bid projects must be open to the public, which is something that Kathy mentioned. There'll be a lot of similarities in the way bids are handled between the two districts because we are governed by Illinois School Code. And so following any pre-bid and subsequent bid openings, all bids are evaluated for accuracy, conformity, responsiveness, and then compared to all other bids received. Please note that no late bids by law can be accepted. We've run into situations where we've got someone coming in to a bid opening at 10:02 and the bid was set to open at 10 o'clock. By law, we cannot accept that bid. That just opens up a whole flood of issues. And so we try to keep them adhere very strictly to Illinois School Code and following what we do with regard to bids. And so projects that require the services of our architects, like I said, will have those specs published as far as where to obtain the specs. And during the evaluation process, all of the credentials of the potential bidder are verified. And once the evaluation process is complete, which can take up to 5 to 7 days, then the apparent responsive bidder is notified, and a recommendation is presented to the board at the next board meeting. And upon approval by the board, the contract is signed, which includes the terms of the project. And purchase orders are then created and issued to the vendor, which would be referenced when submitting payment by the vendor. When we approve a bid, we have to make sure that all of the required certifications, affidavits, and documentation needed and called for in the spec are complete and included with your bid submission to make sure that it is complete and to be considered. This sheet is just a contact sheet of the key individuals at District 202. And these would be the ones most involved in the bid process, from budgeting to planning and things of that nature. And this last slide is actually going to be a list of our projects that are coming up for the summer of 2013. And as you can see, they are quite involved. Some of them are quite involved and will, cost quite a bit to get them complete. One that's not listed on there is a summer project for 2014, and it would be for new STEM labs. And STEM labs are science, technology, engineering, and math labs that will be installed. And it looks like this will be a project in conjunction with Northwestern University. So that's something we can look forward to. And if you have any questions, we'll be here afterwards and talk. Thank you.
Doing very well on time. Kimberly, thank you very much. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items. At the registration table, there is a bowl, and I'm going to ask before you leave to please put your business cards, just so we can make sure that we capture all of your information. And we're doing really well on time, and actually give us a significant amount of time to network afterwards. As you all know, the goal of this morning's session was to increase our business-to-business relationships. I'm so just thankful, and we appreciate the time that our presenters have taken out of their day to be here with our local businesses, as well as the city of Evanston. Each year we strive to increase our number of dollars spent here. And we have two very special people who are so instrumental in putting this together, getting ready to present to you. And I always have to acknowledge both Marty Lyons, who's our assistant city manager, Mr. Joe McCray, our deputy city manager. Not only do they work tirelessly for the residents in town, but they've been very helpful to me, getting me up to speed. So thank you very much. And now you hear from our city staff, Marty and Joe.
Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me in case I get a little bit away from the mic? Everyone here okay? Nothing like having the budget guy get up to make us back on schedule. I can get us back on schedule in a heartbeat, but I won't. I have to thank both representatives from 65 and 202, because I didn't put all the big requirements in our PowerPoint. I knew that we have to do business the same way, so you guys went over that very well for me, and it's not in there. So, we're all under kind of the Local Government Act for purchasing. That means bids and things of that nature. So, I'm not going to go through that again. I'll go through some other things at a little bit higher level. So, without further ado, I want to jump into stuff because we also have some specific projects, and when we get to projects, we have a handout to give to everybody. So, this is who we are. Rather than do that at the end, I decided to put that up front. And so you've been introduced to Joe McCray and myself, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the rest of our team so you can attach a name to a face when you're making that phone call of what happened to my bid. Gee, why isn't the city bought my printing supplies? Any of those issues. So first we have, Joe is going to be speaking later, so I'll let Joe introduce himself as he sees fit. But we have Lou Gergens, our finance manager.
I'm Lou Gergens, Finance Division Manager. I oversee accounting, budgeting, financial reporting, and purchasing. So I work with the purchasing team quite a bit in making sure all the bids get out and get processed in a timely manner. And even after the council awards, to make sure everything, all the paperwork gets in and gets the project moving quickly. So that's what I do for the city.
Next, I'm going to jump to our purchasing staff to my right, Dolores Cortez.
Good morning all, thanks for coming out. I will be processing your vendor registration forms, which gets you into the system and gets you a check and a W-9 form. We also process and manage bids and RFPs once they come in. We receive them, open them, let you know, especially as far as bid tabs are concerned, who the lowest and responsible bidder was, etc. I'm kind of a central point for all phone calls, so I'm sure I look forward to speaking to each of you.
And Dolores and Tammy Turner is next. Their offices are right down here and to the left, so purchasing is on the 4th floor, about halfway down the hall. Whatever, if you need to stop up, we are here. Tammy?
Good morning, I'm Tammy Turner. I'm the purchasing coordinator here in the city of Evanston. I handle all the requisitions, the purchase orders. I help set up the bids and RFPs, get them out on the streets, advertised, and into your hands. I look forward to working with you.
If you have a PO problem, you have something where something's not being processed in a timely manner, these folks are not the bill payers. They're on the way in. But if you're having a problem with bills being paid after you've gotten a PO, come see Lou or I, because we also handle the accounts payable side of things. We're happy to facilitate that process. But Tammy and Dolores, that's on the way in, getting you all set up, and they're happy to help follow through onto that other side. And lastly, we have Ashley Porta. She is a management analyst in the finance department. And Ashley, go ahead.
Ashley Porta, management analyst in the finance department. And I'm actually going to be working in purchasing for a couple of months to help with the bid process and RFPs as they go through their busy time. So I'll be
having Ashley in because, like everyone, during January through March, we have all the big bids rolling out for the summer construction. So we're devoting a little bit more resources to make sure we get all of those handled in as quickly as possible so that we're out on the street. We get better pricing when we get out early. So our goal is to stay ahead of all of our operating and capital departments with the bids. So thank you very much. So, I'm going to talk about, I'm not a big fan of these. That's what we're going to go through. We're going to go right to it. So, 5 major sections of our bid document. When you see them, as I said, I'm not going to go through all the rules and regs, but we work on our bids. They are a very structured product. Just as everyone else noted, we have all of our rules at the state level for how we do bids. This is our format that we always will use. So a lot of times what happens is we have people get a little bit turned off by the 10 pages of paperwork before they even realize that we're going to buy toilet paper. So our bid process is fairly structured. We are going to keep looking at that to make it as efficient as possible, executive summaries and things of that nature. But when you're looking at ours, it'll be our instructions, our terms and conditions. Because a lot of times we want to tell you our terms and conditions, and if there's a deal killer, we don't want you to get all excited about a bid when you say, oh, I don't do that. That's not my business. I'm not interested. And then we jump into the technical specifications. What are we actually requesting? So, again, our format, very simple. We do have bid forms. They are on our website. You can see those when you're looking at our bids as I get to how you can do that. This is our basic format. I did keep one thing in there because it is a standard question. And we just had it at a director level meeting for city staff. Geez, we gotta get rid of these bid bonds. It's crazy that we have to have bid bonds. And that's the word, have to have bid bonds. You heard it from everybody else. We're required. We're looking at ways as how we might be able to continue to do business within statute, yet make it more affordable for all of our local businesses to actually participate. As we find ways, we will certainly try them. The bid bond doesn't do anything for the city. It's a requirement. It also does is really reduce our ability to get competitive bids. So we will continue to work on that. My next slides are going to be about request for proposals. So I'm setting up our bids. So bids are unit pricing. We're going to buy so much of X, and you have to do with that, a certain project, and that's it. There's almost no room for interpretation. We're very, very sure about the project scope, what we're going to do, and what we think is needed to get it done. And so you see, those are the types we might be doing. You saw for 202, they had some construction projects on facilities. Same thing, it's a very finite project. And I think it's one of the things that's important. For bids, price is very, very important. You can get tossed out for a variety of reasons, but price is a very major part of the bid. Lowest responsive and responsible bid is what we take 99 times out of 100. That responsive and responsible, that's the only part where you can lose that one. Just because we've done such a thorough job of identifying the bid that there really isn't that much room for interpretation when we get down to price. So, request for proposals. Unit pricing, not as important. I do a request for proposal once every 4 years for auditors that are independent auditors. There's no unit pricing involved. So, when we do request for proposals, quite often price is 25 to 30%, where the finance guy's always saying, can we get price up a little bit higher in that? Because I think it's important. And the operating department saying, I really want to have a bigger say in quality and not just the price. So we are sensitive to that. We will have many projects where price is only 20% because it's such a complex project. Or it's the project itself is going to form the basis for a much larger project, engineering. We will not always, engineers are not always chosen low bid because it's going to be 10% of a future capital project. So, evaluation criteria, just, those are standard. We, depending on the project itself, we'll put in another 1 or 2 criteria. Those will vary just on that. If we have a computer-related project, there'll be a different, maybe 1 other criteria compared to an engineering project. They can vary. Again, it's highest ranked responsive and responsible responder, because I always have to say that instead of bidder. So we will, council will always see a matrix that says vendor A scored a 90 and vendor B scored an 85 and we want vendor A. And it will come from 5 or 6 criteria. Everybody ranks them on the selection committee, and the selection committee will have someone from the purchasing department to make sure we're following all of our rules and regs. But then if it's a water bid, it's the water department staff that are out there ranking all of the responses. And so, and we've had vendors come in and say, I thought I did better here, or I thought I did better there. It does happen, but we do put a lot of sunshine on it and say, here's how you were ranked, not just one line that says, we select vendor A because we like them. So again, that's for folks when they get it, when they see our format, that's what we standardize on. One of the things that is critical, and we've changed this a little bit in the last 2 years, form of agreement. We have standard agreements. And we do vary a little bit depending on the business in question. But in order to make sure we limit liability, here's our form of agreement, and we put it out there right away. so that, you know, if your attorneys say, we can't possibly do that, we want the phone call right away so that you can ask us questions about that. We don't want to waste your time filling out a whole proposal and then only to find, I can't get that insurance. How could you possibly think I could get that insurance? So please, if you have questions, we'd like to hear them up front, and we do have a process for ours, just as any public body, where we'll have time for questions, and then time to send out an addendum if questions impact all responders. So we will do that to make sure we get the best responses possible. So, Demand Star. We use a national company called Demand Star to make sure that our bids and RFPs go everywhere. Dolores is here at the computer to kind of show what we have, but this is our screenshot. We customize Demand Star so it looks like our site, and then you go in and you can take a look at bids. So this is our top bid is the noise chimney. So you go and say, I do brickwork, I do tuck pointing, I want to go see that. One of the things we're working on this year is more consistency on Demand Star. It's a little bit, sometimes we'll have a good one-page summary, and sometimes we have the ad that was placed in the paper. I want to improve that. We're going to be working on better summaries in our publications. And one of the ways is through Demand Star, but they're a private company that does have this exposure. And another way to work on Demand Star, work on the information process. This is still Demand Star, and I'm just going to, since the type is so small, you've got it on your screen, but it tells you a summary. And again, I want to make sure we continue to improve on our consistency. Usually there's a one-page summary, but then if you want the bid or proposal, you've got to be a member of Demand Star, or you pay to have it downloaded. And we're working on ways to go where our own technology is advanced, where we're going to do it ourselves. Demand Star's been around for decades, so they're like the old service bureau that since you didn't have the technology, you let someone else do it. Well, we have the technology now, and we're going to start putting our own bids where everything's just going to be links, and you can go ahead, if you look at it online, you can download that whole bid and take a look at it, and then just round file it if it doesn't apply to your business. So, let's see here, I'm going to come back to this. I want to show that part. Hey, did we have the red arrow before? Is that a new and improved part of it for us? That wasn't there on Thursday.
Wow.
I'm speechless. Just give me 1 second here. I want to see if, all right, I want to go back. So Dolores, I want to turn it over to you for a second to run through, can you run through a couple of the Demand Star methods, and then also to our website where we had the outstanding bids, so the red arrow. Whichever order you'd like to do, and speak up loud.
Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to go through the Demand Star piece first, and that is where you ideally have to be a member. And for those really small businesses, this is why we're providing also a free method of being able to access the same information. And it also falls in lines with the city manager's goal of becoming a more transparent government. What we eventually want to be able to do is have everything that we have available to you guys, to the public. This piece here, what you see on the screen now are the details, which was that smaller screen earlier. And down here at the bottom is where you can click view and actually look at the bid that's available. In this case, it's only one piece. It's the ad and not the whole bid. And this is what Marty was referring to. If you're a member, you get to see the whole thing. So I'm just going to log in really quickly.
Yeah, as a business, they also, we couldn't do this ahead of time because they just logged out after 5 minutes. They're trying to, so Dolores is logging in now because they're just timing out.
So here's where you get a tad bit more information. that we have available. But at the same time, if you go to our website, which we're building and working on, improving, this notice to bidders and outstanding bids, that gets you to just a simple list of whatever's outstanding right now.
And could you open up one of them?
Let's do the elevator inspection program. That's the whole bid, not just the ad. So that includes everything you want to know.
Thank you.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to continue to work on this. I'm a big fan of, or I should say, I'm not a big fan of PDFs. So we'll continue to work on our formatting because we'd like to be able to take this such that you can take and deconstruct this bid without having to convert from a PDF to a Word document or to Excel or to your own systems that says, I'd like to answer this as easily as possible. Maybe you'll build your own template and say, no, a city proposal. So I can go ahead and do it, and I just plug it into my own template, and I know I've got a good response where I only spent 2 hours responding, not 2 days, because that's something that discourages you responding to us. So, and we know we'll always have a PDF or a file that was our original. So I'm not one that would be worried about someone saying that's not what the bid says. We're going to keep working on making these very functional documents for you to use. So let's get back to our PowerPoint. Thank you. Love you, Harold. I just love you.
That's Marty's dog.
All right. So before I hit this slide, we also use co-ops. The Northwest Municipal Conference is a council of governments with 40-some municipalities, and they have their own suburban purchasing group. So we use them. We have another co-op that just started up strictly for capital, and we participate in a few of the projects, but they're all, for the most part, of course, north and west of us, so we haven't been the biggest player with that because we do have a commitment to local purchasing. But those things are out there. I think of it as, you know, we're integrating across our business where we're purchasing with like businesses. Same with the schools. You have a state purchasing co-op because they're all buying the same things. It only makes sense to try and get those volume discounts. But what I think where we've fallen down, and I want to work with all of you on, is getting you into these co-ops and getting you linked. So if you come in through our website, you can see what these co-ops are doing, and you can go bid on the Village of Glenview's business, or the business of 10 communities that are coming together to build a certain thing or buy a certain product. So we just did this through for janitorial services. I think it was 45 buildings ended up in the group. We didn't end up in it, but we looked at it. But 45 municipal buildings were in there. So why is this important? Our capital improvements plan this year is $36 million. So we're going to, a lot of that's roadway maintenance, a lot of it's facilities, but that's a big number. We also have in our contractual line items alone, so this excludes things like our power bill. You know? These are smaller contracts where it's anywhere from $1,000 to $100,000 a year for a contract. And that's just an estimate on the report, but well over $3 million. I wanted to be conservative. I'm sure if I teased the budget really well, I could find even more dollars that would apply to all of them. So I think it's very important that we continue this process, and we'll continue to expand our web application. What we did just get out to everybody should be our list of projects. And we're going on a quarterly basis where we're saying over the next 4 quarters, we project the following projects. And we'll update that at a minimum monthly as our departments tell us who's doing what and when. Because some projects are depending on grants. If we didn't get the grant, it could get delayed an entire year. Other projects depend on another project. And if one was delayed, the next one is delayed. So this will be a very fluid process, flexible on the schedule, but it helps, I think, for all of you to know when we're going to be doing things. going to talk about some of our other efforts as far as local purchasing. Joe?
Good morning, everybody. Joe Clay, Deputy City Manager. Happy to be here with you all. We appreciate you all being here today. Just a quick note about myself. I'm the Deputy City Manager. As Marty said, and I work with Alderman Braithwaite in the MWD committee as a staff, and I know many of the faces in the room, not all, so I'll be happy to meet with all of you afterwards. I got a couple of things to talk about, but just a quick moment here, if you will allow me. When I was growing up, my grandmother thought I should be a preacher. And if you know me, you know that's probably not the best fit for my personality. I am a talker, but talking at the podium when I was younger is what I did not want to do. So I made the choice to go into local government, and look where I am right now. So that happens. But I really am happy to be here with you all today. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things involving local preference and our diversity supplier programs. And then I'll be available afterwards to talk about it more. Everything that Marty said, I just want to reiterate. I can't express how important Demand Star is and the amount of information we put out on the website. It's there, use it, it helps. In terms of our local preference, the City of Evanston has a local preference policy by ordinance. And so for our local businesses, for our EBEs, our Evanston Business Enterprises, when you bid on a project, if you are qualified, if you are responsive, and you are within 5% of the lowest bidder, you could be awarded that job. The City Council, the Mayor and the City Council, they support local businesses and provide a preference for local businesses in our purchasing policy. So that's important to note. MWEBE, what is it? It's a Minority Women in Evanston-based business program. For us, it's a goal. It's all about us trying to appreciate the diversity that is in Evanston through our projects, through our construction projects and other projects, over $20,000. And so we have a goal in the city to have all projects over $20,000 have at least 25%, to have at least 25% of subcontracting opportunities to a minority business, an Evanston business, or a woman-owned business. And so we try to pursue that goal. We try to incentivize individuals to do that. I'm the person that oversees that program for the city. 25% is our goal. To be a minority business enterprise or a woman-owned business enterprise, you have to be certified. Other entities certify, we do not certify, but I look for those certifications. So if you're certified through the City of Chicago, you're certified through Cook County, if you're certified through the state or federal government, we recognize those certifications. And when you bid, as a subcontractor, you include your certification letter and they'll get credit for that. So that's what we look for. Just really quickly, minority and women business entities. For us, that means 51% of the company is owned and operated, or more of the members are either a minority or a woman in terms of ownership. For the EBE piece, Evanston Business Enterprise, to be an Evanston business, you have to have a brick and mortar location in Evanston performing a commercially useful function for at least a year. Let me repeat that again, because that's important. That's important. Very important. Brick and mortar business in the city limits of Evanston performing a commercially useful function for a year. So if you meet those requirements, you're an EBE for us. I don't want to speak for Alderman Braithwaite, but I can tell you that he's a big proponent of EBEs. And as we work with the Minority Women and Evanston-based Business Enterprise Development Committee to strengthen our programs, the EBE, we think, includes everyone and is where we can do the most good. And so we're looking to help those entities to grow and develop and to also put forward great bids on our many projects, as Marty has provided you with a list of. So we encourage EBEs to bid on our projects. We hope that you will, and so now you know what that formally means. I think I touched on some of this already. We want to assist with growth. The purpose of that is to assist with growth and provide equal opportunities for those entities to do business with the city. And so that's important to us. We also provide references to other entities. So there are assistant agencies, which I can share at a later point if you want to talk afterwards, will help small businesses develop and do different things, and so we can refer you to those as well. But we do provide assistance. We are willing to help explain different portions of the bid process if necessary, so we try to be a help to our NWBs as well. Switching gears just a little bit to our local employment program. So everything we've talked about up until now, we've been talking about the businesses, but I would be remiss if we had this program and I didn't take the opportunity to tell you about individuals. So one of the other programs that the city has is the local employment program. Basically what the local employment program is, it says that on our construction projects, city-led construction projects, so not private construction, we have no control over those. So private construction is different, but on our city projects that we put out, public works projects, construction projects, over $250,000, we require that 15% of the labor done on those projects be done by Evanston residents. That's a big deal. We're working hard to make that stronger every day. The idea is to employ Evanston people on Evanston work, on Evanston jobs. And so I oversee that project. The idea is to get our low to moderate income Evanston residents work. It's important to have the trades and the skills and the abilities to do the work, and so we look for that. I actually have over there some, the form right behind Godwin for individuals that might be interested in registering for that program. Being on that list, let me be clear about this, being on that list does not guarantee you a job, but when we're doing bids and we have the contractors come in for projects that qualify, we provide them that list. We inform them of what the law says in terms of the Evanston resident requirement, and we provide them that list as a reference. And so I can't guarantee that you'll be the one selected, but they have to meet that requirement. And we do work to enforce that standard. So that's important to know. So I'm available afterwards for more questions about that. Again, the way to contact us, I apologize, I do not have a big red flashing arrow on my slides, nor was I aware that that was a part of our slides beforehand. It's always hard to follow up Marty. I expected to be surprised. I didn't know we would have that kind of a piece. But again, we welcome your interest and questions. And I just want to say again, thank you to all the people who came and spoke at this program and provided information. I think it came out to be a great success. A lot of hard work. I can't thank Godwin Chen enough for his work and the efforts of the city staff and the committee and the leadership of the alderman and chair of that committee. This means a lot. My hope is, and our vision is that we will continue to do things like this, that we'll create networks, and continue to provide events and programs and things of that nature that will be beneficial to the local Evanston business community, and we hope that you'll continue to support those efforts. With that, thank you very much.
Just one announcement before we go open, and that is a couple of staff has just gone down to our second floor where we have our small computer training room. For anybody who'd like to go poke around in DemandStar, look at our website, print a bid out right now. After we're done networking, we'll stay down there at least till 11:45 for anyone who wants to go down and see it. We threw a lot of stuff at you, so please, if you want to poke around and get a feel for it before you're at your own office and say, this isn't working like I thought it was, please go down and take a look. Alderman Gray.
We are doing really well on time, so I want to do two things. First, I want to give, there are a couple of people, I'm sure due to the weather, came in late, so I want to give those people an opportunity just to quickly introduce yourself, your name, and the nature of your business, starting somewhere around here. Is there anyone that came in and did not have an opportunity to introduce yourself to the group and your name of your business? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lauren Brousseau with Infrastructure Engineering. We're a civil and structural engineering group, and we do transportation work, and we do a lot of site development work as well too. We are MBE certified and also DBE certified.
Thank you very much.
My name is Rick Hamill. We have Hamill Home. We've been in business 27 years in this town. We do a lot of renovations, home improvements, a lot of commercial. So this was a good meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi,
I'm Cindy Rawlings. I'm a banker at North Shore Community Bank. Very happy to be here. Also a member of the Minority Women in Evanston Base Business Committee. So.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. I want to quickly acknowledge two groups that we didn't thank earlier. The first, Elaine, she introduced herself earlier with the Chamber of Commerce, and she's our new executive director here in Evanston. And so I just want to thank you very much for helping to get the word out in your community, as well as Carolyn Delutri, who's with Downtown Evanston, who isn't with us today. So if you enjoy these sessions, if you enjoy networking with other businesses, and if you're not a member of the Chamber, here's your little plug. Please see Elaine after we wrap up our questions. And so I think we have a few minutes because the presenters were so kind to move along with their comments. If there are any general questions that pertain to any of the presenters that are here, I'm going to ask you to keep them brief, and we're going to try to get through as many as we can, maybe in the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll open it up to networking. Did you want to make a comment?
Can I just say one thing? One of the things that strikes me when you hear from lots of people like us is, and I hope I can speak on behalf of everybody, I think they'll agree with me, but hopefully one of the things you take away from this is we all do have processes we follow. Some we have to follow more strictly than others, but people shouldn't be overwhelmed by the process. We all have templates, we all have documents we use, and one of the things we hear, sometimes you'll get a 30-page bid packet from us, and they, you know, they're a little freaked out by it. When you read through that template, I think you'll get it. And so don't be overwhelmed by the document. If you get an invitation from us to bid on something, look through it. I guarantee it's much like everyone else said, there's a terms and conditions section, there's a description of the process we're going to go through, and there's a work statement, right? And so I think you'll see that all of our documents have those things. I think it's important to kind of get to know the document, get through it, and not be overwhelmed by it. And if you do feel like you are, that's when you call and ask questions. And so it's just a theme I heard from all of us. We all have these documents and forms and templates, but I don't think it's as overwhelming as some people might think it is. So just kind of wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. General questions for the group, and I'm going to try to move through this quickly. Ms. Betty back there, Ms. Esther.
My question is to the city. You talked about Demand Star and having the bid information on the city website. Are you going to totally drop Demand Star and just put all of your bids on the city website? And if so, when?
Our plan is not to totally drop Demand Star because just as a duty to all taxpayers, we're going to look at all respondents, and sometimes we find ways that someone from outside of the state of Illinois says, I got a new way of doing something. Here's my proposal. So especially for proposals where we're looking for professional services and there are many ways to get the job done, we make, it's quite possible we'll keep Demand Star, but our goal is to use our economic development staff and our purchasing staff and all of our networks to expand to the point where somebody's going to say, I don't need Demand Star either. I've got cityofevanston.org in my, in my electronic files. When they have something, I get notified. We really want to go to a push mentality where all of the folks who are doing business with us, we're going to push stuff to them. But legally, we have responsibilities to advertise and make it a public process. Hope that answers. We're not going to do it right away. It could happen. Our goal is to expand first to make sure we just double our efforts on notification.
No, the reason I was asking for my customer, that's an expense to them, and they want to know where you're going to be going that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
I just have a quick question. You said that you register on Demand Star. Is that like, is there a cost associated with it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what that is?
No, but I will get it for you.
And I think the staff has set up computers downstairs. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we set up computers downstairs, but also the importance of signing in is that we can push out more information to everyone. So if you signed in and given us your email address, in particular, your phone numbers and everything, we'll keep that information and we're going to set up a listserv and push more information out. So we can get that kind of information out to you. So please, 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 make sure you sign.
And we will share. You have all this group here, so just because you signed in here, we will share with everyone else your information and start building that process that hopefully we'll be happy to act as the conduit. If you push it to us, we'll push it to them, however it's going to work, because I think I can speak for everybody, is our governing boards are happier when we show we have a lot of participation in our purchasing process. So when you're keyed in, they're happy.
Yes, that is true. And just as a reminder, if you haven't placed your business card in the bowl, please do so before you leave. Next question. All right. As we wrap this up, I actually have a round of questions before we make our final comments to Marty, just regarding our bid process. We have a bid meeting and there's a pre-meeting. Can you sort of give an explanation of both of those processes?
The city has, when we do bids, depending on the type of bid, if the bid comes into any level of complexity, we will have a pre-bid meeting where we want to sit down with all of the potential vendors and make sure they understand what's being asked. You can have mandatory pre-bids or voluntary pre-bids, and we make that very clear in the advertisement. So voluntary pre-bids are for anybody to show up and ask questions so they can be more efficient when they're responding to the scope of services. After those, if we're having those meetings, what we do is, most times, we will then have an addendum to the bid that goes out and says, from the meeting, you asked the following, here's our clarifications. A personal philosophy of the city's CFO, if your question is only relevant to your solution, for the most part, I think that's called your competitive advantage. If you have a question that applies to everybody, I'm bound to share it. But if you're going to, especially consulting or things like that, you come back with the innovative solution, I realize that the city could be cutthroat and say, I'm going to share it with everybody and see who I can get the best price for that. But if we do that long term, nobody will come forward with the great idea. And we'll end up without innovative solutions. So we will share all questions that pertain to everybody's ability to respond to the project. Okay.
And a quick follow-up question, Marty. What is our average spend on goods and services annually? What does our spend universe look like?
I'm going to back into it. Our payroll for the general fund's about $55 to $60 million. We have overtime. We have lots of things that make that vary a little bit. And our general fund budget is $85 million. So we're spending in other areas $15 to $20 million. I listed the $3.3 million in contractual services, but we buy supplies, we buy equipment, so we have a lot of other areas where we're purchasing in our general fund. And then we have probably about another 25 to 30% in small purchases in our water, sewer, parking, economic development, and other funds. So the number is well past 8 figures.
Okay, thank you. And Northwestern, you want to give us the same thing, just a summary of your bid process, if you allow for meetings and what type of interactions you allow the businesses with your purchasing and also what your spend universe looks like?
Very similar to what everyone else said. In one of the articles in our bid document, it will go through when and if we're going to have a pre-bid meeting, whether it's mandatory or optional. It'll all be published in the bids. We follow very similar processes. If there are questions, we have an addendum with the answers. With regard to our spend, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly, but regularly it looks like anywhere between $300 and $400 million with addressable spend, we call it. So our total spend is probably north of $1 billion, but a lot of it is salaries and things like that. But addressable spend somewhere between $300 to $400 million.
Alderman, I didn't include the capital, so that was up there on the 36 million for capital was the other part of that. But it's not 300 million.
Well, our bid processes are dependent upon the commodity and the specific area that's involved. We do have as I presented, we have a very formal bid process when it gets up into the larger money contracts that we go through. Our identifiable spend is probably in the area of an excess of $60 million, depending upon how you define sewer. And locally, I figure, you know, we're above somewhere over $2.5–3 million in that area, just in general terms.
I represent from District 202.
Well, pretty similar to the whole process as far as the bidding goes, as far as the bid meeting, the pre-bids, and how the addendums are communicated to the potential bidders is quite the same. As I mentioned previously, our operating budget for this year is over $65 million, so you can see that there are quite a bit of dollars that are available for, you know, various projects, be them capital improvement projects and what have you.
Again, the process is very similar. As far as the numbers are concerned, our budget is a little bit bigger, about $120 million. Our payroll is approximately $70 million. We have been spending approximately $10 million annually in last few years on construction projects. Building grounds budget is about $3 million for non-personnel expenditures. We spent, I think, about $5 million for supplies. We buy a lot of what we call purchase services. We contract for different services. That budget, I would say, is probably about $9 million. So, I mean, there's a lot of dollars to be spent.
And we want to try to keep that locally. All right, let's, any final questions? All right, seeing none. Well then, just as we bring this morning session to a close, again, so many thank yous to our committee for all of your feedback. We still have a few members that are here. A personal thank you to you for all your help and feedback for making this event possible. To our presenters that took the time out of your schedules to be here, very meaningful, and we appreciate your time, and also thank you for taking the time to stay afterwards. And then, of course, to our city staff who works very hard on behalf of our residents, I want to thank you as well. Did you want to make
Just the computer room, if you went out to the end of this hall and straight down 2 floors, that's where the computer room is.
So I invite you all to stick around, exchange business cards, make sure you leave your business cards. Please be respectful in terms of the time that you take up with our presenters. We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to shake someone's hands who you want to see. And again, I'm wishing you all a very successful 2013. There's nothing more important to me and our city staff than to recycle dollars in Evanston. We understand that by doing so, we help to increase our tax base and create employment opportunities for our residents, both young, youth, and adults. So thank you again for your time this morning, and I look forward to seeing you at future events. Goodbye.